Hello, welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry. I'm Mr. Paul. And the recipe today has been asked for by one or two people, not a lot, but it's something that I have made in the past, and at Christmas time I gave it a little twist. The recipe is for Apple Crumble Tarts. So they're mini tarts that you can serve individually. And at Christmas time I replaced the apple filling with some mincemeat and did the crumble top, and they were very, very nice indeed. So it's a simple recipe, but it's very, very tasty, and they can be frozen and brought out whenever you have the need for a nice quick dessert. Okay, let's get on with the ingredients. So the ingredients for the pastry are 375 of plain flour, 175 grams of butter which has to be chilled, some water. Now I've got 150 mils of water, but we may not use it all, and here a half a teaspoonful of salt. Now the ingredients for the filling are 2 large cooking apples, 2 to 3 tablespoonfuls of white sugar, and a quarter teaspoon of spice. Now I'm using ground cloves, but you can use mace or cinnamon or anything you wish. And for the crumbly topping, we've got 125 grams of plain flour, 125 grams of butter, 125 grams of Demerara sugar, and 175 grams of rolled porridge oats, not the instant type. Well, those are the ingredients, so let's move over to the food processor now and we'll make the pastry. So now we're going to make the pastry. First of all, put the flour into the food processor. You can use a stand mixer for this. You can mix it by hand if you wish. I'm using the food processor today because I haven't used it before in videos. Very rarely anyway, and a lot of people ask me, can you do it? So yes, here we can do it. Flour going in, salt going in, followed by the butter. And we're going to just give that a little blend until it forms a crumb-like mixture. It is best for this to have your butter chilled, and then it doesn't stick to the walls of the blender, of the food processor. Well, there we are. It's all crumbed down, I think that's about it. Now we need to add the water. As soon as it starts clumping together, just watch it carefully, and when it forms a ball and starts rolling around the machine, that's when it's ready. And there we are. That is now ready. The pastry is just right for what we want. Right, now whilst the pastry is cooling in the fridge, we're going to crack on making the apple filling. So for the filling, we're going to add the apples to the pan. We're going to add the sugar to the pan, and the clove. I use ground clove. You can use nutmeg or cinnamon, anything you want. And I'm just going to add to that about a couple of tablespoons of cold water. Just a couple, and then we'll turn the heat on. bring that water to the boil, and then I will turn it down to a simmer and put on the lid and wait till the apples have softened. That should take 3, 4, probably 5 minutes, that's all. Right, the apples should be ready now. There we are. The apples are nicely cooked. They smell beautiful. They smell absolutely delicious with those spices. It almost smells like Christmas. So now that has to cool. We can't use that while it's hot. Right, now while we're waiting for the apple to cool, we'll crack on now and I'll have a go at making the crumble topping. Now, first of all, when I make a normal apple crumble or fruit crumble, I never ever use oats in it or nuts, anything like that. A proper crumble topping is just flour, butter and sugar. However, these little tarts, the recipe was sent to me by a viewer a few years ago actually, somebody who followed my website before ever I started doing the YouTube videos, and they added rolled porridge oats, not the instant type, the rolled porridge oat flakes, Quaker oats or something like that they call them. But anyway, I'm going to use that recipe, which I've always done, so don't start writing in and saying we shouldn't have oats in a crumble mixture. I know, but this is something that I'm following someone else's recipe. I've tried it out, I've adapted it slightly, and it works. So let's get on with the crumble topping. So now we come to making the crumble mixture. So here we have the flour, which is 125 grams, and we have the butter, which is also 125 grams. And we're going to just gently rub that between our thumbs and fingers and get that mixed in with the flour. You can use a mixer for this if you want, but it's such a small quantity, it's not really worth it, because we don't need to be rubbing this in too fine. We just need what we call a rough crumb. It doesn't need to be very fine, because remember, it's going to be crumbly on top, so we need it to be chunky, not smooth sand-like a mixture. And that's enough now. That's how we need it. Then we're going to put in the rolled oats. It's not oatmeal, I beg your pardon. This is ordinary porridge oats, by the way. And just mix that through. And the Demerara sugar. And we're going to mix all that together. Make sure it's mixed nicely. And if you can see that consistency now, it isn't too fine, you can still see some lumps of butter, and that's just what we need. And now we'll go and get the pastry cut into the cases. So now the pastry's been cooling, or should I say resting in the fridge, and what we need to do now is to roll it out. Always keep your pastry on the move. Roll it backwards and forwards and a half a turn like that. Backwards and forwards and a half a turn. Well, we need the pastry reasonably thin for this. We don't want a lot of pastry underneath the tart. So probably 1/8 of an inch, something like that. There we are. Oops. Cut out some rounds. And pop them in the tin. Like that. So carry on cutting those. So now we've got the cases there. We need to fill them with the apple filling. A little bit too much in that one, sorry. There we are. We don't need to overfill them, of course, because we'll get them boiling out. We don't want that. There we are. All filled off. And now we're going to add the crumble topping to them. I'm going to use one of these, I think, today to add the crumble topping so that we get on top of the tart quite easily without spilling it everywhere. Try to do it by hand, it's a bit difficult. There we are. Quite a simple operation really, but the beauty of these little tarts is you can actually freeze them afterwards. Well, you can freeze them at this stage now if you want, but you can actually freeze them afterwards, and when you want to have them for a pudding or an after dinner sweet, you just take them out, warm them in the oven slightly, make a bit of custard or cream, whatever, and just take out as many as you want. So these are going to go in the oven now at 180 centigrade for about 15 to 18 minutes, that's all. I'll see you shortly. So here we are, straight from the oven. Nice apple crumble tarts. I let them cool slightly and then I'll lift them out onto a cooling wire. Well, there's the finished product. It looks very, very nice. I'm going to enjoy that tonight. Well, that's all I have time for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up underneath, leave a comment. I do read them all. I try to answer as many as possible, and share it with your friends, please. So this is Mr. Paul saying bye for now, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.